Hello, hello. This is the Sacred and Rooted podcast, and I'm your host, Lisa Nickel. This is one part in a multi-series kind of thing. I can't think of the word exactly. But all summer I've been doing a happiness habit sort of podcast series, and they're just shorter, 10-minute or so episodes. But each of them has a theme, towards your happiness, simple ways that you can kind of like tweak your life into the right direction, whichever that is, whatever the right direction looks like for you. So today's episode is brought to you by Rumi, and his quote goes like this. "The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep." And so this is just a nice centering quote. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. And so what I'd like to highlight in this episode is the importance of time. Maybe you could say preferably in the morning, but frankly, I don't think it matters really. If you have time anytime during the day, that'll be perfect. But to start to kind of carve out, as if you're going to the dentist, as if you're going to a doctor's appointment, or meeting a friend for, lunch date or something, make it an appointment with yourself and keep it. Simple as that, right? But really just to get into the habit of connecting with the quietness that this world can offer if you're available for it, let's say. So that's, the quote is suggesting that you at dawn, so you're up earlier than maybe the rest of your family, the rest of the world, which works, totally works. It could also be in the evening when it's quieter and, things are sort of winding down. It could be at lunch and you just have a break. Wherever you have a break in the day, you can just sit. Maybe find yourself a nice scene to look at, wherever you're sitting. Maybe it doesn't need to be in a parking lot, but if it is in a parking lot, that's okay. You can close your eyes and you can sort of pretend and dream up, visualize a lovely place that you would enjoy being in. But the essence here is to get comfortable with giving yourself some downtime, some quiet, so that you can start to hear your intuition louder. And the nuggets from the universe that are coming in, that you're available to hear them, to receive them, to just acknowledge them. And, there's been, over the years, but there's been tons of different people, but there's a lot of people in the world that are looking for answers for their life outside of themselves. And one key to happiness, super, super the top, most biggest key to happiness, let's say, is to really seriously know that you have the answers that you need, and they are not going to be the same as someone else's answers. And that's okay. That's perfect. That's how the world was designed. But we can look outside of ourselves for advice or to learn things that maybe we can take into our internal world and use, obviously. We don't literally know all the answers to everything. We can learn things and we can read up on stuff and be curious about different things. But at the end of the day, if you're faced with a decision, it's you, like it's you, your answer for that. What to do next? What to, should you either take this job or that job? Should you break up with this boyfriend or not? Should you talk to your girlfriend about some issue you're having or not? Any decision like that that you might be kind of tossing around a lot and you're not sure. It requires some more just sitting in silence and just trusting that the next right thing will become evident to you. And whether it's, whether you hear your intuition, whether you sense your intuition, whether you feel it in your body, whatever way your intuition speaks to you, and I use speaks in like quotations because it doesn't literally speak sometimes. But even, some people don't even know how their intuition interacts with them. And so that's even a place to start if that's you. But to really just know that, your sister doesn't know what's best for you. Your mom doesn't know what's best for you. Your friend from high school doesn't know what's best for you. You can take, you can research kind of whatever you're struggling to decide with, and so that could include asking people what they think, but that doesn't mean that what they think is what you should do. You sort of have to gather that information and then sit into it and feel into it and like which one feels better for you. Maybe there's not even just one option or another. Maybe there's some sort of hybrid, middle, sacred third option that ends up being the thing or the way to proceed. But if you want your life to feel, happier, more fulfilled, just more satisfying, this is super key, because then you are in the driver's seat. And when you're in the driver's seat, all of a sudden, your life feels much more aligned with you, which is perfect. It's awesome. And, everyone else can be in the driver's or the back seat, the passenger seat. They could be waving at you on the street, on the sidewalk, or whatever as you go by, but they're not the ones that are at the steering wheel. So that is just, it's just so much nicer. But a lot of women specifically, it's like we weren't taught really to trust our intuition and trust our inner compass or our, divine wisdom, whichever way you'd like to think of it. We were taught to, find, I guess what we were taught was that somehow our external validation, somehow other people, maybe older people, maybe, men, maybe, I don't know, somebody who's already gone through something like that, they would know whatever worked for them must be the thing that would work for you. And that's just not true. So to really open yourself up to what is true for you and where would you like to go in your life? Because it's your life. And at the end of the day, you have to have a relationship with yourself first and foremost and really see what this adventure holds for you and then go with it. Have the courage to go with it, and your happiness will be, not that everything is going to always work out or, only roses pop up as you walk, but it'll feel, even in the shittier times, it'll feel like you sort of you have the autonomy and you trust yourself and you trust your intuition and you can get through anything. And so I just wanted to finish off with a quick little story. I guess it's been probably 3 weeks ago now. We were out in Cape Breton Island, which I totally forgot was so gorgeous and just like soul balm. Like it's so nice and it's so healing and just, I love it. We did the Cabot Trail. I'd never been on the Cabot Trail before. my grandfather's family is from the or not from the Cabot Trail, they're from Cape Breton. And so we used to go to Cape Breton every summer when we lived in Nova Scotia and PEI before I moved away or moved out. And it was beautiful then. Like we used to go to a different area of the Cape Breton, not the Cabot Trail area, but the other, like, more southern area, by Iona and Washabuck. And that was gorgeous enough as it was, or is probably still. But the Cabot Trail is, like, exceptional. I can see why it's such a special place for tourists to come and people to visit. But yeah, while we were there, put the natural beauty aside for a minute, but we also ran into, well, we didn't run into, but I had happened to book a hotel near, I think it's called Gampo Abbey, which is Pema Chodron's Buddhist I don't know if you say colony or, like, kind of like it's like a monastery almost, but it's called Gampo Abbey probably because monastery isn't a Buddhist word, it's something else. So anyways, they have some, I don't know if there's monks that live there, but they definitely have people that are in sort of like a silent retreat and studying and doing Buddhist things. I frankly don't know a whole lot about what people that live there do, but it's open to the public, so you can walk the grounds. They have tours inside the abbey, but they weren't open the day that we were there. But they have a stupa, which is a huge kind of shrine to Buddha. And so my sister and I went there one morning because my mom, of all people, had, I don't know how, she somehow knew that it was there. And so when I told her where we were staying, because we were staying in 2 different locations along the Cabot Trail, she was like, "Oh, I think Pema Chodron's, abbey is there." And I said, "Oh yeah, I don't know. I didn't know." And so we looked into it, and it's literally just down the street. It was a 5-minute drive. So we went there one morning and to just look around, and obviously there's always the beautiful scenery at the ocean, but we also went to the stupa because I don't know if it's the only one in Nova Scotia, but it seems pretty unique as far as out east goes, and so I'd have to look into that a little more. But I have never seen one or been to one until that day. And so we went around, and there was a lady there who is with the Buddhists. I don't know what I'm not sure what the official word is. I don't know if she is a monk or if you can study with the monks and not be a monk, or how it works. But she had been with them for years and years and years and worked in different locations around the world. And so she was there pulling the weeds around the stupa. And so she gave us sort of an introductory lesson to it, and we talked a lot about these phrases, because there's around the stupa, so it's like sort of picture, kind of like a giant statue thing. And so it's, I don't know, it's about 20 feet high, 25 feet high maybe. And it's built, and it sort of represents, each level of it represents sort of like a level of enlightenment along Buddha's journey or path to enlightenment. And so I'm sure there's tons more that I need to learn about the stupa and like the literal structure of it. But that is for another day. So what we did talk a lot about was that you walk around the stupa 3 times clockwise. And then around it, there's sort of like a 10-foot wide kind of path, like, I don't know, like sidewalk kind of around it. And then there was a short kind of garden wall, like a knee wall kind of thing. And on that wall, there was, I think it's 51, little sayings, like 1 sentence, 2 sentence things that are like reminders of how to be a good person, and how to, not only say that you walk in, you are a loving person, but to really focus on one of them every morning, or for a week or whatever, and really dig into it and like unravel it and see what's there for you. And it's a way of refreshing yourself, so that you actually because we all get into bad habits and we get into ruts and different things where we're maybe not quite as loving as we would want to be, or maybe we can be more loving and we just need to kind of stretch ourselves a little bit. So it was a really cool way to experience just like a refresher. And it reminded me a lot of, like the Course in Miracles, where it's like a little mini class every day. Or there's the Tao, where there's, like some number of lessons. So there's these, in lots of different organizations, there's a way that you can access on a daily basis sort of a refresher, or like a remembering, or just to tap in real quick to like your timelessness, your true self, like the world that is not the 3D world. And so it's just a way of sort of drenching yourself with that magic, and then you go out into the world and you're a little more magical because you've already dunked yourself in the magic. And so here, I just want to see if I can find something real quick, because I took a couple just as an example of what they are. Here's a couple. Okay, so the first one, don't wallow in self-pity. And so, you could take that and you could think about it for a few minutes in a morning. You could meditate on it for weeks if you want, but just to catch yourself, like if you are thinking like, man, this is so hard, this is so shitty, this is so whatever, it shouldn't be this hard. Just to, a gentle reminder, just don't wallow in self-pity. Like whatever's happening, what is happening, and how can we get on with it, or how can we move forward, knowing what we know. Another one is, don't misinterpret. And how many times do we do that? Like, we have stories running in our head all the time. We have preconceived ideas of what people are doing or not doing. And so misinterpreting is like probably number one on how people get into little conflicts, and not even big conflicts, but just little things. And so, if you started your day and you've read that, it'd be like, okay, yeah, I should try and just be open to, that acknowledging that I don't know how something's going to turn out, or I don't know how a meeting with somebody is going to go, and just be open to how it's actually going and not responding to things based on what you already expect them to be, if you know what I'm saying. Here's another one. Train wholeheartedly. Isn't that nice? So it's like just little things, like how to be a little better human every day, little step here and there. And so this is what I mean with this episode, is just, if you can find yourself a little space in your day, even every couple days, read a little inspiring something out of a book, read something on the internet, like just write it down in a journal and reflect on it, pull a card, reflect on it, just something that gives you access to other realms other than the 3D world, sort of to pull yourself back into the area where your soul actually exists. And because there's so much more to this world than just the physical world. And so when you do that, then it's the same as meditating. When meditating, I usually say is, it's like jumping into a cool, still pond on a hot summer's day. You come out and you're still wet. So it's like you have some of it on you, like you're still in it, but yet you're still in the physical world as well. And that changes the way that you operate in the physical world for the better. And so the more you can inject and infuse your life with that, the happier, the more satisfied, the more aligned you're going to be, because you're going to be in touch with that part of yourself. And, your intuition will be easier to hear, and you'll be kind of on a mission. I mean, whatever your mission is here on Earth, like, you'll be hearing it, you'll be following it, you'll be listening to it. And instead of the external blah, 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 like all the chaotic, whatever, the static, that will sort of quiet down, because you're very certain and, grounded in the fact that you're it. The decisions are yours to be made, and you are the best person to make the decisions for yourself and your life and where you're headed. And so, I would encourage you to, make some space for yourself. And it's a great, simple opener. Like, if you're not talking to your partner or, whoever you live with, maybe you live on your own, so it's no issue. But if you do have, family members that are probably like, what's she doing over, like, what's going on? Or how come she's not coming? Maybe you're not going to help make breakfast for your kids anymore, because your kids are actually kind of old enough to make breakfast for themselves anyways. And you can use that time to have a quiet moment for yourself. Maybe your husband or your partner does part of the morning routine, and so then you have like some time to yourself. Maybe the kids go outside after dinner and play, and outside, and you have some quiet time to yourself. However you can work that out. You're creative. I know you can do it if you have that as a priority, and it's worth it. It's totally worth it. And it'll just start opening up the conversation too in your unit, your family unit, or whatever, whoever you live with, however that works. As far as, like, what are other people doing for their, peace of mind, for their spiritual journey and that kind of thing. And it'll be interesting. It's interesting to hear the way it works for other people, because every person has their own personal relationship with it, and I love that. Anyway, I think that's it for this episode, and I certainly have to find a book or something on the stupa, because I feel like I want to learn a little bit more about it. So, if anyone actually knows a bunch about it, send me some references or something, because that was just a super quick introduction for me and my sister, and it was cool to be there with her too, and to share it, because most of the time, sort of, I find my spiritual journey a little bit private, but I've been opening up about it a lot more, obviously through the podcast, but also in my personal life, and just like being more upfront with, I'm going to, I'm reading this, I'm spending time doing this, this is how I find some peace of mind, this is how I reset. And then everyone's different, everyone in the family, just especially with the kids, to just speak about it, and then they can kind of become aware of the fact that this is a good thing to do. Or if they have something they already do that they don't even know, maybe they can't quite put words to it as far as why they do it, but they know they get a lot of satisfaction and peace from it, then it kind of puts the puzzle pieces together for them. Anyway, that was a bit longer than I anticipated, so I apologize if you were hoping for just a 10-minute quick thing. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you're finding some neat ways to find some quiet time for yourself just to kind of really get into the habit of having some silence, having some reflection time, some time to become inspired, let me know. I'd love to hear from you, and it's always so cool and creative to see what other people come up with. All right, take care. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next time.